Welcome to another episode of the Team Check-In podcast. I'm your host Emre, and the keyword here was welcome, because on this episode of the show, we'll be talking employee onboarding. More specifically, this one is going to be more of a bite-sized 10-minute episode where we talk about how you can gamify your onboarding process. We'll be talking about the roots of what gamification is and how it can help with onboarding your employees. So, longtime readers of the Teamflect blog will notice that recently we've been putting a lot of emphasis on the best practices around onboarding or some of the must haves in an onboarding process. And more recently, we've been talking about how you can make employee onboarding more fun for everybody. And one could ask us, why are you this obsessed with onboarding recently? Well, because nothing quite beats an onboarding process, doesn't it? I mean, first impressions last. That's a fact. And there are countless researches and massive piles of data on how the onboarding process has a huge effect on the overall productivity of an employee throughout their employment in a company and the retention rates of that organization. So let me make a case to you about how gamifying that onboarding process can really help with overall productivity, employee engagement, and countless other things. So here is how you can gamify your onboarding process, and more specifically, why you should gamify your onboarding process. So, why gamify the onboarding process in the first place? Well, one of the biggest issues with employee onboarding in this day and age is that it has become far too much about checking certain boxes and not about creating a positive experience for new hires. This is an unacceptable premise, considering that 69% of employees, according to a study by Aberdeen Group, are more likely to stay with a company for 3 years if they experienced great onboarding. So, are we missing something here? Isn't retention the name of the game in 2023? We're living in an era where valuable employees are constantly aware of all the options that are open to them. And with the lines between industries blurring with each passing year, they don't even need to stay in their lanes anymore. So while many factors go into retaining employees, and it is a complex discussion in its own right, we can't disregard the massive part the onboarding process plays in retaining employees. So before we discuss how you can gamify this process, let's talk about gamification in the workplace. Because when put simply, gamification is the use of game design elements in non-game contexts. Whether you're implementing game elements such as badges, challenges, points, or simply starting a leaderboard, gamification has gone past being a simple trend and proved it is here to stay. In this specific case, in the case of onboarding, the positive effects of gamification in the workplace are very well documented. We know that game-based learning is one of the most effective ways of taking in new information in adults and young minds alike. We know that in a year when Gallup reported that 85% of all employees are either unengaged or actively disengaged, gamification is a methodology well worth investing in. The concept of learning and engagement, while relevant at all stages of one's employment, play a massive role in the onboarding process. So, let's have this conversation. Let's talk about how you can gamify your onboarding process. And one of the first areas we're going to be talking about are onboarding challenges. Challenges are an inherent part of any game design process, and they are one of the first elements of gamification you should consider implementing in your onboarding process. Onboarding tasks have always played an important role in new hire training. That being said, why not turn them into challenges they need to complete? Dividing your onboarding process into levels that your new hires can unlock after completing a certain amount of challenges in each level is a fun way to incentivize hands-on learning. Your new employees can discover what it is like to be working in your organization as they make their way through each level. You can customize the levels any way you want. The initial levels can be entirely made up of scavenger hunts with challenges such as discover the best burger joint around the office, or find where you can access employee feedback templates inside our performance management system. These can help familiarize your new hires with their new workplace as well as the digital tools used in it. Gradually, these challenges should evolve into onboarding tasks to familiarize them with their new responsibilities. Moving on from challenges, the next step I believe is leaderboards. Because as we're speaking of challenges and points, why not create leaderboards to add a dash of friendly competition to your onboarding process? Who will be the first to reach the next level? Who will finish the onboarding program with the most amount of points? What will the rewards be? These are all questions that will bring a breath of fresh air to the way you onboard your new hires. And let's find a way to incentivize making connections. Now, a new workplace is far more than just an office to explore and a fresh set of responsibilities to take on, right? It is also a whole bunch of new relationships about to be formed. So why shouldn't you give your new hires a nudge in the right direction? Does your organization have its own company social network? Give badges to new hires who make the most friends in it. Making office trivia one of your onboarding challenges is a great way to incentivize making new connections. And this doesn't just go for your new hires. Veterans should also be motivated to learn about their new teammates. And if you include personal information and personal questions about both your new hires and veterans in a trivia contest, and you let them know beforehand, then you incentivize them to make those connections. Because being curious about the people surrounding us, the people we're with, is one of the best ways to form strong connections with them. So let's wrap this up. What did we talk about in terms of gamifying the onboarding process? Well, we talked about turning the onboarding tasks, the initial tasks, into challenges and arranging them according to certain levels, right? Simple scavenger hunts, right? Discover the best burger joint, the best coffee place around the office, or learn how to use our performance management system. And then leaderboards, right? Because you got to encourage a little bit of competition. Trust me, it will bring some great stuff out of people. And incentivizing those connections through trivia contests. Now, those were just a few of our ideas on gamifying the onboarding process. And this is the moment where we throw the question out to you. What are some of your ideas on gamification in employee onboarding? Or do you have any other interesting or fun employee onboarding practices that you implemented in your workplace? We would love to hear them out. So please feel free to reach out to us on any of Teamflect's social media and just keep this discussion going. We absolutely love hearing from you. But for now, this is the end of the episode. So if you're listening to this on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you find podcasts, please give this episode a like and don't forget to subscribe. It really helps the team check in out. And if you ever find yourself looking for a perfect performance management tool for Microsoft Teams, then you should probably go to teamflect.com and schedule a free demo. Bye-bye.